Dude, I'm so hungry right now. You don't understand. I could eat anything. I'm literally starving. What do you mean anything? You can't eat chicken. You can't eat beef. You can't eat cheese. You can't eat milk. You can't eat eggs. You can't eat anything. Like, you're vegan. Why would you be vegan though? Bro, I've told you, I'm literally not even vegan. What? How can you not be vegan? You always post these vegan posts on Instagram and I swear you're vegan. You always post these posts like banana bread vegan. What is up with that? You're not vegan? Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anne-Marie, aka Mac and Cheese, and today's video is gonna be all about veganism. And I'm not gonna go on a big rant about how veganism can save the environment, the people, your health, and just generally I'm not gonna bombard you with information. This is simply the story of how I'm actually not vegan. And this might be super confusing to some people, but to others there might be kind of this click of, oh, this girl's actually not vegan. So I'm gonna clear up all your questions in this video. So with no further ado, let's jump in. Okay, so this whole story started around end of 5th grade, start of 6th grade, where I developed a passion for nutrition, dietetics, food. I mean, I've always loved food, so I think it just kind of further developed into something that I could study later on in the future. Obviously, I'm still really interested in these topics and I'm thinking of studying them, but that's another story. So I developed an interest for nutrition and dietetics, and you know, these two things require a lot of research and you need to know a lot of information in order to know what you're kind of talking about. So this is when I started, and this is the time that I started researching and following Instagram accounts and making an Instagram and also watching documentaries and all that good stuff, all that nerdy stuff. And basically what happened was I would slowly research, and you know, at the time veganism had actually became really popular. I think it was the rise of veganism around in 2016 where vegan popularity and vegan products started to soar. So this was a good time for me to, you know, obviously learn about veganism, and I would, on Instagram, I would follow many dietitians and many accounts that would provide obviously information about health and dieting and all that jazz. So I was kind of confused as to what I would kind of focus on. It's like I didn't know exactly what this journey was for. I didn't know if I just wanted to kind of further study this issue. I didn't know if I wanted to just study this stuff just so I can be a healthier person, so I can help others. I wasn't 100% sure, but I came to the conclusion that I wanted to learn obviously this information so I can be healthy and I can live a longer life, hopefully, and so I can also probably study something similar in the future. And so I started kind of watching more YouTube videos about health. I started following more accounts on Instagram about health, and at some point I came across veganism, and I had heard of vegetarianism before, and I think I had a couple friends that were vegetarian, and at the time I actually consumed quite a lot of meat. Like my dad is a big meat eater, or he was, and I don't know, I came across veganism and I wasn't 100% sure what it meant, but over the past few years at the time, so this was about 4 years ago, there was like a rise in popularity of veganism, and it had sort of become mainstream at the time. So I would hear it everywhere, I'd hear this term veganism, so I ended up researching it, and then I figured out that it was just a way for animal exploitation to stop, and a lot of people had different reasons as to why they were on a vegan lifestyle, vegan diet, because for ethical purposes, for environmental purposes, for health purposes, and there were so many reasons people went vegan, and I was kind of confused. So I dived in deeper, I learned more about veganism, and in the end I figured out that this was a healthy way of living and a way of living that some people opted for. So I also watched a lot of documentaries, including What the Health, Cowspiracy, and I was gonna watch Forks Over Knives, and there were so many other documentaries. But I remember as soon as I watched Cowspiracy, I was okay, my life had honestly changed. I think in Cowspiracy there was some propaganda regarding veganism, including the old myth you know, if you eat an egg in a day, it's like smoking 5 cigarettes, which we know now isn't true. So I was researching a lot, and in general, I kind of started posting more about veganism, I think, and at the time is when I started my food Instagram, which I'll link down below. It was a long journey, it was, and I was in 6th grade, so I was kind of dumb. Still am, but working on it. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed the whole topic of veganism, and I also researched a bunch of other diets: paleo diet, Atkins diet, vegan diet, vegetarian diet, all of these other diets. Oh, and Whole30 and macronutrient diet, and any diet you can think of. The one that I was leaning towards or gravitating towards was veganism, because for me, not only did the research kind of add up, and a lot of people were kind of accepting this as a healthy diet, even though there is still some, I guess, disagreements among dietitians and scientists about the vegan diet. It seemed like the one that was the best because it not only helped animals, because people, when they're vegan, obviously they're compassionate towards all animals, and obviously, like I mentioned before, different people have different reasons of why they choose the vegan diet and why it works for them. And honestly, I think a diet is a really personal choice, and I know a lot of the vegan community doesn't want you to think so, but honestly, a diet, so far we haven't found one diet that is one size fits all. It covers all of humans' needs. We all have many different situations. Some people might have, you know, eating disorders, some people might have diabetes, some people might be suffering from cancer. You know, there's so many situations that we need to take into account when it comes to a diet, and so far we haven't found a perfect diet. Although the one I feel like most people can sort of agree upon is the balanced sort of diet. It doesn't really have a name, but it's just, you know, eating a balance of foods, having a balanced diet, just eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and basically the rest in moderation. And I think this is what generally works for most people. This is what people normally consume, especially omnivores. So yeah, but anyway, so I was starting to become more conscious of what food I put in my body, and that's why I wanted to research so much about this vegan diet. And at some point, of course, after watching a bunch of documentaries and spending a bunch of time on researching, I figured, you know, I think this is honestly the best diet for me. It seems restrictive, but it's really not. At the time, there were so many meat alternatives and cheese alternatives and milk alternatives coming out, and it just, you know, it was pretty crazy. There were so many new foods and new products on the market that it was great for veganism, because anyone that was struggling to be vegan beforehand because they would constantly live on rice and beans, they had a chance to actually try this out, and a transition between an omnivorous diet and a vegan diet was much easier. So, you know, at the time I stopped eating pork as well, because honestly the reason is because I love pigs. Honestly, I'm really biased when it comes to this. I love pigs, I think they're adorable. I just stopped eating them. To this day I don't eat pork. And at the time I also started switching out milk for almond milk or soy milk, although I still eat cheese. But you know, I'm working on it. But okay, so the story is that I asked my parents if I could be vegan, and they knew I had researched a lot, but they said no. And this might come as a shock to some people, and vegans that are crazy might be like, oh, this is child abuse. You're not letting your child go vegan. But the thing is, my parents were looking out for me, and they trusted that I had done a lot of research, but they didn't know a lot on the topic themselves. So I'm glad they made that decision for me, and I think if I want to be vegan in the future, that's obviously my decision to make, and they now know that I've done plenty of research on the topic. But obviously if I were to switch from my diet right now to a vegan diet, I would have to probably consult a dietitian just to be sure that all my necessary nutrients that I need to eat within a day are covered. Anyway, back to the story. So after that time, so after 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I started posting a lot of food. I started posting a lot of food, and 90% of that food was vegan. So I would go out one day, I would meet a person that's like one of my mutual friends that somehow follows me on Instagram, and they'd be like, oh, you're that vegan girl. And I'd be like, what do you mean I'm that vegan girl? They're like, you're vegan, right? I'm like, no. And I got really confused at first, and then I realized, oh, it's because I keep posting vegan food, which makes sense, right? But the thing is, I'm actually not vegan. I just kind of prefer to eat more plant-based and to eat less meat. I just think that there's a significant amount of evidence that cutting down your meat intake can do wonders for your health and for the environment as well. But I don't, at this point, I'm not so convinced that veganism is the way to go, at least for me. I know for some people it works, and it works 100%, and I'm not against veganism whatsoever. But for me personally, it's just not something that I see myself doing right now. I do not see myself trying to eat vegan for a prolonged period of time. Maybe for a week. You know, sometimes I have these weeks that I just prefer to eat mostly vegan foods, and I might just eat just some cheese or something like that throughout the week, and the rest is just plant-based foods like fruits, vegetables, beans, rice, whatever. But yeah, so the story is, and the reality is that I'm actually not vegan, but I prefer to eat more plant-based. I am an omnivore. I eat my chicken, I eat my shrimp, I eat all that stuff, and I really like chicken, I really like shrimp. But you know, I'm always open-minded, and if there was some study that showed that yes, veganism is right for everyone, veganism will help you live longer, without a doubt, I'd be vegan. Like for me, honestly, it's a no-brainer. I will do whatever is best for my health, and I think you should as well. So that's basically the story. I hope this cleared up a couple of questions you might have had. People still think I'm vegan, so whenever someone asks if I'm vegan, I'm gonna show them this video because I'm sick of explaining myself. But yeah, honestly, I can see why people think I'm vegan, but it's just because I eat vegan foods and just because I try new things doesn't make me a vegan. I can see why people think that, but honestly, I'm not vegan, and I'm here. I feel like I'm coming out right now. Like, honestly, I'm not vegan, and if you're vegan and you're watching this, stay mad.